I love that everybody naturally got quiet today. That was amazing. That's never happened. All right, welcome everybody. January, we are so excited to see you. I'm going to stand back here because as you can see, I am not sitting in my chair. We have a special guest. Let's all welcome the new Miss City of Orange, Kalista Brown. Kalista, I hope I said your name right. Did I say it correctly? Kalista, I'm so sorry. I'm going to give you the mic, but I'd love to ask you, what inspired you to compete for Miss Orange?
So it was really hard to convince myself to compete because this is my second year competing, or it was my second year competing, and my mom had signed me up without telling me anything. And I thought she was crazy. I was like, I'm not a pageant girl. I would never do something like that. Like, you would have had to start me when I was like 3 years old. Like, I would never do that. Like, and then I couldn't stop thinking about it because I think in the back of my mind I always wanted to. I even like one time wore a costume that was like the pageant queen for like a concert just because I really, in the back of my mind, I've always wanted to wear this hat. I don't know, but I just always thought I had to be a certain type of girl, like I had to be a supermodel or something, just like that. And then I started scrolling through Miss Orange Instagram, and I realized Miss Orange is just a normal girl. I saw Elizabeth Rayburn, Miss Orange 2024, and I saw all the things that she was able to do and how this is just such like a locally based thing. We're not part of any other organization anymore. I just realized that this is something I could do, and so I came into it, and I was just met with the kindest people ever. I've never like gone to so many events for Orange before, but I'm very excited for this year because I get to go to so many. And I was just able to see how much of a community we have, and it was overwhelming kindness I was met with, and so I really wanted to compete again. I've probably scrolled to that Instagram all the way through like 20 times now, and I've just seen whatever Miss Orange has been able to do, and I'm just so excited to do that now too.
This is also her first appearance, so we're so excited to have her here first. All right, give me one second. Just on somewhere. Sorry about that. Well, good morning and again. Happy New Year. I feel like I haven't seen you all in a while, and I feel like saying Happy New Year is appropriate because January is so long. This is like the 7th week of January, so it's like so appropriate. Thank you guys so much for coming. I do want to do a special introduction. I do see that we have our mayor in the room, so if you guys could give a warm welcome to the mayor downstairs. Anyone here from council or city management as well? Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you. Rick?
Russell from Economic Development.
Community Development.
Oh yes, Russell, sorry, I see back that far. Russell, welcome. Russell, I have the light working against me. I'm sorry about that. Well, as you guys know, this is an open format. So our guest, we have a special guest here today. He is here to answer your questions. I have some questions, but I will take time to take questions from the audience. We'll try and keep our hard stop of 9 a.m. to get everybody out to work, but he and I could sit here all day. We could just chat all day, but we'll try and keep it to a hard stop. So with that, I'd love to give a warm welcome to Chief of Police Adam Jevec. Adam, it's customary that I read your bio. It's uncomfortable. I'll make it as quick as possible if that's okay with you.
Or I could just say it. That way you don't have to.
Would you like to?
I don't know. It might give people a chance to. It'll help me warm up.
Okay. First time out. Let's have you do your bio. No, I would love to.
Thank you for having me here. I was talking to the owner. I think 25 years ago, the prior owner sold me a house. My first house when I moved back to California. Small world. If you're from Orange, those are the stories that you know. But I am from Orange, born and raised. I went to St. John's and Orange High, third generation to do so. And after Orange High, I went to Sonoma State, where I got a degree in history, got a master's degree at George Mason in Virginia, where I worked at the Red Cross, American Red Cross and National Archives. Woke up one day and said I want to be a cop, and got hired by Arlington County, Virginia. Did that for about 2.5 years, and then when I had kids, came back to California, and again I went to school with one of the captain's kids. We grew up together. He said, "If you ever want to come back to California, I got a great department for you, Orange Police Department." So, only place I applied, and came back and got hired in 2006, and I've worked myself up the chain of a lot of different assignments: field training officer, a crime suppression detail, gang detective, sergeant, SWAT team, and eventually worked for internal affairs. Then went to lieutenant and captain, and then in March of last year became the 36th police chief. So that's me in a nutshell. I do live in Orange, work in Orange, and so most of my life, probably like some of you, is a 5 mile square radius. So that's kind of the long and short of it.
Thank you. I appreciate you for doing that. Like, we normally do like a welcome app, but welcome again. How are things going today? It's a beautiful day in Orange. I love to say that because I know much of the world is frozen and we're not.
Yeah, my brother lives in Ohio, and when I said, "Wow, it feels cold," it's about low 40s this morning, and he said, "You have no idea." So it's definitely.
It is chilly though.
We're blessed.
It's
We're
crisp.
blessed. Yes.
Well, let's jump right in. I would love to start with crime. So, just because I feel like that's a place to start with the police department. So I know that the 2025 crime numbers aren't officially posted. You have some insight to what those look like. You can share a little bit that you can before those are officially out.
Yeah, so one of the things we do, most of our, you said the 7-week January, it does feel like a long month, but one of the things that we do as soon as January hits is we can be our own worst enemy. We are a numbers-driven profession. We tabulate and calculate everything. And so in January, we start putting together our numbers for the prior year. And so while typically by February we have most of those, some preliminary numbers we have, our crime is down 20%. And if you pay attention to last year, that was down 10%. So we're continuing to grow. Last year's 10%, this year is 20% on top of that. And one of the two biggest reductions are auto thefts, which are down 30%, and commercial burglaries, which are down 25%. So theft continues to be, or property crimes, as I would say, are the biggest crime issue in Orange. But we continue to see, or at least this last year, a decrease overall of over 21% in property crime. So overall, about 20%.
So from your perspective, I guess what do the numbers show the public that we might not immediately see? Like, what do you see from like behind the scenes, I guess?
So
It's not shown on posts and things like that.
So it's hard to say like why or how do you drive down crime. So the biggest thing I would say is crime is cyclical, and sometimes we just get lucky. If you ever listen to prior Chief Tom Casella, he would say there's a lot of luck involved in what we do, but the better you are, the luckier you get. And I think it starts first and foremost with our people. We have amazing people, and when we get into staffing and other things, you'll hear, but we do a lot with less. And it's our people, it's our knowledge, it's the experience that they have. And where we start with crime is we have a full-time crime analyst. We meet weekly with special units and all of our lieutenants, our watch commanders, and we look at what the crime picture is on a week-by-week basis. And from that, we start adjusting resources. So if all of a sudden there's a crime spree at a certain location, in the next 7 days we put resources on it immediately. And that's changed in the last 10 or 15 years. It used to be we'd meet monthly. Well, a lot changes in a month. Now that we're doing this weekly, I think we're really starting to get on top of problems, we're starting to get on top of issues. And our crime analyst has connections throughout the county. And so when there's a trend in Irvine or a trend in Fullerton, we're aware of it also, and we start working together. And some of you guys have heard about some of the bronze emblems or other things stolen throughout the city. We're not the only city experiencing that, and our crime analyst is on top of several leads or several other issues in other cities to get us in that direction. The second thing that we do is relationship based. And so many of you have heard about our crime prevention unit that's part of our Community Engagement Bureau. They do free services, business checks, neighborhood watches. They get out into the community and they do that follow-up with a victim and say, what can we do to make you feel more secure or improve what you have? And that includes security checks, that includes involving other neighbors. And when you have every neighbor watching your house, when you're not there, it makes your neighborhood safer. And the third thing we do is utilize technology. Many of you have heard about Flock. Many of you have heard about just other technology that we use. Those provide great leads, and we partnered with the outlets. They bought 16 cameras, or 13 cameras that are ingested into our system. And so when we have a crime, we could get a license plate, or we can go further and follow up and make an arrest. And as homeowners associations and other businesses partner with us, it builds a network of safety and security throughout our city. I'll say a couple of the last things that we do. Prop 36, many of you guys voted. I think it's almost 80% in Orange County alone. It used to be, I'll say it used to be, but in 2020, when we had theft at an all-time high, you're writing tickets to people and you're just releasing them back into the problem. Prop 36 allows us to take them off the street, run their rap. If they have prior thefts, book them into county jail. And since Prop 36 passed, so it's January of 25, we've made over 300 arrests. That's 300 people that aren't getting released back into the problem. They're going to county jail. And yeah, they might reoffend when they get out, but it's putting a stop to some of the immediate repeat offender or repeat violations. And if every other city and I know a lot of Orange County agencies are doing that, but the more that do that, the less crime opportunity is out, or the people that find the opportunity are out there. And when you start multiplying that over Orange County, I think that's why we're seeing a decrease in Orange. And little trends. 2 years ago, we were talking about the international crime rings that would fly in, commit crime, and fly out. We're not seeing that as much this year. Now, is that a consequence of some of the immigration stuff of the federal government? Maybe. Is it just, are they moving on to tailgate thefts that we're seeing a rise in? Catalytic converter thefts used to be a big deal. Well, now it changes, and that's where it's like, I think we're seeing cyclical changes, and with that, we stay on top of it. And it comes with knowledge and putting resources there.
You mentioned, we can jump kind of into technology since we went there. You mentioned the flock safety, and I know that was implemented, was it about 2 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, so if you can maybe expand for everybody who may not, does everyone know what flock safety is? I have my flock safety socks on, you guys can't see it, but I got some at a convention, like perfect day to wear those. So let's talk about what flock safety is, how the community can be involved. I know we have, I think it's Keep Orange Safe with Flock,
Yes.
So you can talk about that.
So Flock started as a way of capturing license plates or capturing vehicle characteristics. So license plate readers or LPR technology it's not a new thing. A lot of private tow companies years ago would use it because when people fail to pay their finance bill for their car and its repossession, a lot of these private tow companies load all of those license plates into their private tow trucks, and you can drive 30 miles an hour down a street and you're getting all these plates, and if you load certain plates, it'll hit saying, here's a vehicle you need to repo. So that's been around for years. As police and other agencies have started to use that, now we can do that with like a hot list. So if we're aware that a vehicle's stolen, it inputs into Flock. It's already in your in CLETS, what we call the California Law Enforcement System, where when you have a vehicle plate or a vehicle that's stolen, it enters into a computer, and when you run a plate, you have to manually run it. It comes back stolen. Now with Flock, as you enter that in, it will ding on your computer. You have a hit, and then you have to find where the plate is, and that's where that's a license plate. It's stolen. You have to confirm it, and then that's where you're getting that recovery of a stolen vehicle. Flock has turned more than stolen vehicles now into, if you commit a theft and you go to a car, now your license plate is there. And then you can look at technology that allows you to say, where else are they, we call it flocking, where else are they hitting? And if you're saying, oh, well, this is where that communication comes in. Oh, Tustin had several down at their, the mall that they have, or the marketplace, the Tustin Marketplace. We have it now here at our Home Depot, and you start putting pieces together, and then ultimately you can make an arrest. And I think the important thing, there's a lot of information about flock and license plate technology in the news today. The important thing is this: it's a lead. It's not a conviction. It's not anything other than that's a lead. And then again, I talk about our people. Our people take a lead, and they have to turn it into a warrant. That means finding the person responsible, walking it through with a judge, taking the extra steps to do the follow-up. A hit alone or a license plate alone is not the be-all, end-all of somebody's going to jail. We have to do a lot of back work. It's just the beginning steps of a lead. But 5 years ago, that technology was not being used, and we'd have a lot of unsolved crime. If many of you may not know, but about 6 months ago or 8 months ago, we had a car-to-car shooting over by the dog park at Yorba and Chapman. That crime was solved in 10 days because we had a license plate, and our detectives had to do a lot of follow-up and work to go find out who did that. It wasn't just, oh, we got a license plate, go to the house and arrest this person. It doesn't work like that. And the other big thing is California has its own entity of flock, and it doesn't share information outside of California. It doesn't share information with federal resources. It's a law enforcement, municipality, sheriff's office tool. And I'll just speak specifically to California because that's what I know. There's safeguards in place that we don't share outside of California. We don't share with federal agencies. It's a law enforcement specific tool that only allows us to use information within our network of California law enforcement agencies. So a lot of the fear right now that's happening with flock, or that some of that you're hearing, it's not happening here, and we're not sharing information outside of law enforcement, specifically for crime investigation and the crime that you guys see on the streets. And so it's a great tool, and as businesses and homeowners associations add to it, all it does is allow a safer network, or a larger network that provides us with tips and leads that really help drive down crime.
Have you guys seen a lot of people adding information in?
Not as much as we'd like. I know there's one homeowners association that's very close. There's another homeowners association that has added, that has said there's interest. I want to say that last count, we still had 157 streams that we have that we can ingest from anybody. And so I would love to see it more. And I think as I talk about our community engagement bureau, but one of their things that they're working on is how do we get more? Because at the end of the day, it saves the city money because we're not paying for it. It comes in, and then we can use it for the follow-up.
Possibly just education. I would
Yes.
say just more, this is part of it.
Yes.
It's a huge part of it. Also with technology, some other departments have drone programs. Do you see Orange getting a drone program? Is that in the works or a thought at this time?
So Luke Correa's office recently, well, not recently, actually, it's probably been over a year and a half, approved a $1 million grant for the city of Orange to start what we call a real-time crime center. And a real-time crime center, it's a big term, and it's all different depending on your agencies. What people picture is a room the size of this with wall-to-wall TVs and consoles, and everybody's just working nonstop on everything that's going on. And yeah, there are some cities that have that. There's also cities that have a desk about this size with a monitor on it, and they have a split screen, and they're they work in tandem with dispatch. So when a call comes in, they immediately go to their console and find out where that camera is or where that drone is. They bring it up, and then they go immediately to that call, and then they can direct officers in. So a good example, Brea PD had one recently. It was a theft at an Ulta Beauty, and so it's the reporting party who's the Ulta Beauty says, we just had a theft. It's a male getting into this sort of a vehicle. A drone on top of their police station can fly 80 miles an hour at 2,000 feet to that location quicker than any police officer could get there. And that drone gets there within 10 or 15 seconds, and they start putting out the information. Okay, we see him, he's in this vehicle, he's going in this direction, and they stop him at 57 and Imperial, and this crime I think happened in the area of Kramer and Imperial. It's a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. And so when you think about what can Orange do with that sort of technology, Orange is different in that if I said all the crime happens over here, that's not the case. Crime is very spread out in Orange, and we're big. And so we need multiple locations for drones, we need multiple, that's right, like cameras or the flock technology. We need more of it because we're a bigger city with crime more spread out. And so the idea behind the money that has been set aside is once we get that, create a center where maybe we use this $1 million to build the foundation. After that, we start scaling it to where we can afford it year after year. And that's the big thing is take a big project, but then scale it according to our needs, but also according to our budget. And so getting that, experiencing with technology, bringing in a drone, bringing in more cameras, having a center and someone really monitoring those cameras, that's really the next phase of where technology goes.
Right, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk a little bit about staffing. I know staffing and retention among departments is a challenge nationwide, and so I'd love to know what are we doing here to retain and attract the best?
So the biggest thing, so every year, or I would say when I came in March, you have a vision. So our vision dedicated to service. With that, we have goals. So we have external goals. So when we talk to our community, reduce crime, obviously huge. Address our quality of life issues, which includes homelessness. Third one is deliver exceptional customer service. When people call and we show up, we want them to feel we do more, we go above and beyond what the expectation is. External, internal, hire, train, retain, promote excellent people. So be that exceptional person who does the extraordinary. That's really that overall message. Every year we have, what are we going to focus on? And so this first year, almost as I come to at the end of the first year, when I came in March, we need to hire people. Hire people because as some of you have heard or some of you may know, we were down almost 40 positions. Some police officers, a majority of police officers, and then other I'll call them professional staff, support staff, who really come in behind and make our jobs easier. And so that 40 number is huge. Many of you heard we were at 170 at one point. We hit 170. We were allocated 170 a couple years ago, and we hit that number. But then from there, it went down, and there was a time, I think over the summer, we were probably in the 120s. And so, yeah, gasp. And with that, we have to start filling the ranks. And we did a huge hiring push since I've been in, so it's almost 11 months. And that's all we've been doing. And so today, we're at 140 on the street, and we're at 152 if you count our people in the academy. And our academy classes have been 8s, 9s, 6s, 4s to try to get this number up. And so the biggest piece of the last year, hiring. This year, so in the next 9 months, 10 months, retention. We have to keep our people here. And a little piece of that goes into the dedicated to service is we do so much for our community that other agencies don't do. I talk enough to other chiefs. I know our police officers talk to other police officers, and they say, you guys do what? You guys go to that? You guys proactively do that? We do. And when we go to calls, we go above and beyond. And other agencies know that. They know when they get an Orange police officer who's interested that they are already at a detective level experience with training and with knowledge. We're an attractive officer. And our goal, primary goal in the next 9 months, 10 months, is to keep our talent. Because when Orange residents call, you want the Orange police officer to show up because they not only are they passionate about Orange, but they're going to get that victim closer to having their crime solved or someone go to jail. And that talent that we retain in detectives, is detectives and other specialty units is so important because they know what the residents of Orange want, and we want to keep that in Orange. And the bigger picture is succession planning. I'm not going to be here forever. The captains, the lieutenants, the sergeants aren't going to be here forever. Retaining that talent who has that commitment to Orange, who knows Orange and develops talent, they're your next detective, they're your next sergeant, they're your next lieutenant, maybe your next chief. That's what you want. You want that homegrown talent who comes from the academy into Orange and stays in Orange for 25, 35 years. And that's the next goal, is getting to that retention level. And that's super important for us right now, is keeping that talent. And a couple months ago, we lost 2 detectives to another agency. And these detectives were 8 or 9 year veterans, had grown up in Orange, and they were SWAT officers, again, detectives. They worked multiple special assignments. They were probably next to go on the sergeant list. And so when they go to another agency, that hurts. That's almost irreplaceable talent. And then on the back end, if we're not filling their detective positions, our detective bureau has 2 less people. And that means when there's a crime or when there's a case to be investigated, now there's 2 less people doing that. And our primary goal today is ensuring that our response time and that our crime reduction and customer service stays high. That's our police officers. That's the ones who are in the car, going to calls for service and helping the community. That's our primary goal. And so in order to keep deployment high, our response times reasonable, we have to maybe not fill some of these other positions like detectives, like motors, bikes and heart and other things on our specialty units. The goal is, in the next 6 months, is all of these people get off of training, they're gonna replenish, and then we can start putting people back into these assignments. And that's really where creating that opportunity, getting that succession planning in place, that's our goal. And it starts with retaining the talent and retaining those people who love Orange, who want to be here, and who know, when I go to that call, I know the level of service that our community expects. That's irreplaceable.
And do you feel that you have what you need to retain people?
I think we do internally. I have seen a huge shift since I came in March. Again, it starts with communication. Really worked with our association, the City of Orange Police Association. What can we do to partner with you guys to make sure that people feel valued, that people know what our priorities are, and that we know what you guys are looking for to make this a better place to work. And we really hit the ground running with our police association. We did a uniform project, so many of you have seen different looks from our police officers. What I have found, I don't want to say I'm that old, but I am a traditionalist. I like wearing a uniform. I like the way it looks. But today's generation wants something more comfortable, something more accessible, and something that makes their job easier. Those are big changes for Orange, they're big changes for us. But with working with our association, it's an easy thing to do. And you're starting to see that, and they're more comfortable, they're a little bit happier. It makes their job easier. So little things like that, some scheduling things that we worked on, really listening to what does our new generation of employees, our officers, what are they looking for? Can we do those easy fixes to make them want to come to work, want to stay here? And I think you're starting to see some culture change in the last 10 or 11 months, where you're really starting to see a resurgence of a lot more proactivity out on the street, which is also a crime deterrent, and also I think a reason that our crime is down. People are more willing and wanting to go out, and they're happier. They're happier employees, and they want to work harder, and I think you're starting to see that. And so, as we change that, that's really what I think is a good thing for morale. So internally, I think we're good. Externally, there's things we don't control. I don't control the contracts. I don't control the money that our officers make. And so externally, that's really where our association works with the city to try to get the best things for them. And then my job, how I look at it, is what can I do to advocate for our police department? These are opportunities, but other things. You guys need to hear, well, what's the reality at the city police department? It's your police department. We're managing it, but you need to hear what are some of the challenges that we're facing? And hopefully with that information and our association, we can work on the external things that are going to make our police department healthier, better, and keep people here as that retention piece goes. And that's really where I look at what's your job. My job really to advocate and support our police officers so our community knows here's the status of your police department.
Right. And bringing the community into it, what can the community, we have our business community, a good portion of you guys here today from the business community and our regular community. What can they do, what can we do to assist you with that?
If you guys are familiar with the Our Orange conversation, like this is budget season for us. And so what's important to our community? We know public safety year over year is important. It's fire, it's police. When you pick up the phone and have an emergency, you want us to show up. You want 50 cops on the street. We all do. And you need to communicate that through Our Orange. You need to make sure that that voice is heard, and it needs to be a priority if that's your priority. And I think that's one thing the community can do is this is important to us and this is what we want. The other thing that we talked about technology is what can you do to help make less victims? And that just goes to I can lock my car, I can hide my belongings, take my belongings out, making sure that I have all the little things to make my world secure. And then if you can participate in Flock or other ways that gives the police department some technology or head starts, those are great. But the first thing is make your voice known what's important to you. And the city has created the Our Orange portal, which allows that voice to be heard.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think it's time to take some questions if anybody has any. I can, like I said, I can chat and ask questions all day, but our chief is here for you. Anyone with questions? I see a question, Pat.
No, I'm just gonna ask if you address the Citizens Academy. I think there's a lot of people in here who may not have had that opportunity.
Great. That's something people can do. So we offer our Citizens Academy. We're doing one a year right now just because of resources and other things, but we're about to start one up. I don't know where we are on the application number, but that's supposed to start in April. That gives you an 8-week real deep dive into our police department. It's Wednesday nights, about 5:30 to 8, or 6 to 8:30, and you get to see all of our different specialized units. You get to have a tour of the police department, but the biggest thing, you get to go on a ride-along or a sit-along. So you can sit with dispatcher, you can go out with a police officer. You don't know until you sit in that police car, until you sit in the dispatch, what our people do. And when I talk about the exceptional people that we have, you will see it. And every time when we go to the Citizens Academy, hey, tell me about your ride-along. The look on people's faces, I can't believe you guys do that. I can't believe that you guys respond to these calls. I can't believe what your officers do time and again. And it really gives you an appreciation for not only the job that we have, but the passion that we have. And those voices or that support that you guys get from that is good because you talk to 5 people, they talk to 5 people, it starts getting, here's what our Orange Police Department does. And so thank you, Pat, for bringing that up because it is a great, I usually spend about 15 or 20 minutes at the beginning, similar to this, ask me any question you want. They arrange ride-alongs, but then they'll have a specialized unit like our homicide unit come in and talk about a case that they are working or have worked. You get CSI, you get our bike team and heart team. That's usually one of the more popular because homelessness affects all of us. So they ask questions. What can you guys do about this? What's this? Where's this? And they get to see it firsthand and ask those questions. You get our gang unit. But one of the highlights outside of the ride-alongs is the SWAT component. They get to put on all the equipment. They get to shoot the 40 millimeter, which is like I guess the best thing I would say, it's like a racquetball at 400 feet per second. They get to do that. They get to see a taser go off. All those things that just put your hands-on experience into the police department. So it's a good way to really experience what we do.
And people can sign up on your website, I'm
Yes.
assuming, on the city website?
Yes.
Perfect. Great question, Pat. I see one more question.
Yeah, I'm just curious, I heard on social media that there is a protest that's coming up this weekend sometime. How do you prepare for something like that?
Great question. When I first started 10 or 15 years ago, and then 10 or 15 years ago, the plaza was off limits. When someone went into the plaza, the police department, DEFCON, whatever it is, to not allow anybody into the plaza, the holy ground of the city. As you guys were aware of the George Floyd, that was really where we started shifting our response. And so what we saw, and thankfully, when our Orange community comes out to protest, they have done so peacefully, they've done so really in a manner that doesn't have to put us at odds with them. And they have done it, they've marched out to Tustin Street, they've marched back into the plaza, and they've really done it orderly on the sidewalks. And so, knock on wood, but our protests for the last 6 years have been very organized and very well, I'll say well behaved. We haven't had the property crimes, we haven't had the assaults on people. We've just had some people who are exercising their First Amendment right, and by and large, they're doing a great job with that. But the world is changing in that last 6 years, and you're seeing more and more protests. You're seeing more and more organizations. There's a group that meets every Tuesday night in the plaza. And again, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that never would have happened, and now it happens regularly every week. And so what do? We prepare by, we know, in most cases, we know who the organizers are. Social media is, as much as you want to keep it private, we're monitoring it, no secret. We monitor it, we know what's going on, we know who the organizers are, we work with our counterparts in other cities. Have you heard about this group before? Have you heard about this organizer? What should we expect? So that's one component, is who is this and are we familiar with them? The second component is how much staffing do we have? Do we need to upstaff, meaning have more people working? Do we need to coordinate with other specialized units like motors to make sure that traffic is okay? And so we really look at it from a whole picture of who are they, what have they done, and then what do we need in response to that. The other component, if you guys were familiar, Chalk had a protest this weekend, and I work closely, we work closely with the Chalk group. Their director of security is on it, and he asks us for assistance or just awareness. And so we partner with them. And a lot of it, we partner with Orange Unified when they have something going on at their, maybe their, I'll call it their council, but it's their school board meeting. If there's something contentious, they call us. When Chapman U might have a speaker who's coming who may not be as popular, they call us. Like, great partnerships start at all of those levels, and we work together and communicate. And then if we have to, we go talk to the organizer in the middle of the protest and say, really need you guys to keep these people on the sidewalk. They're spilling into here, and they, by and large, so far, have been super cooperative, and it works. And so we're on it. I will say it's one of those, again, the world is changing. It's weekly, it's almost daily, and we're in constant communication. And there are times when other agencies ask for us to come, like if Santa Ana says we need some help. UCI had a huge protest a couple years ago. We had to go down there. So we partner with all of our Orange County agencies, and they would do the same for us in the event something outside of what we've seen has happened or is happening.
Okay. That was a great question. Does anyone else have any questions? Julie.
Hi, thank you so much for being here, speaking with us today. I first want to say I'm a mom of 2 children that go to school here in Orange. I own a home, I own a business in the city. So safety is obviously very important to me. And I think that when we think about budgets, you know, most of us in my kind of position would say, whatever the police needs, like, I'm voting for, I'm all for. I do think there is a perception in our city that the police budget is a very large portion of our city's budget in a time of fiscal crisis. Is that a misconception? Or do you think there's any truth to that? And also, sort of, what's your budget compared and your resources that you have compared to other cities of a similar size?
So our budget, so not a misperception at all. Public safety is the biggest budget for the city of Orange. They're hands down. I mean, it's all over the website, and our budget has fluctuated between 70 million a couple years ago down to about, we took a cut this fiscal year that we're currently in to about 62 million. So we had a 10% cut. It went from 70 to 68. Now it's down to about 62. And that's your operating budget. Any vacancies that we have, which I explained to you at one point, we had a significant amount of vacancies. That's all savings back that we're not spending. And so part of that, and I'll say it this way, is our budget is proportionate to other cities. And I'll give you an example, like Tustin would say, well, here's our budget for police. And I want to say, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say it's around 40 or 50 million. But when the revenue for their city, because of all the district and the marketplace, their revenue is significantly higher. So the percentage that their police department takes of their budget is smaller. And so for Orange, we have, I think the last I checked, public safety was about 65 to 70% of the city's budget. That falls in line with where's your revenue in comparison with your spending. And so we're higher because of that. But it's also a commitment to public safety is important for Orange. We also have 70 more officers than Tustin does. We're bigger. We're at least twice the size. We have twice the people, twice the crime, and so we need it. Anaheim's you can't even compare it because they have Disneyland and all the other ones. And so Garden Grove, they have about 170 officers, and so Fullerton has about 120. Similar operating budgets and similar percentages. But again, if the revenue for the city's higher, your percentage of what you spend towards public safety is going to fluctuate. But we're fortunate in Orange; we've always had that support. And again, I think last I checked, we're at 65 to 70% of the city's budget, and our operating budget reflects that. And so does fires. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
I think this is a budget type of question too, and I don't know how much of this was through the police department versus the city, but is there any chance of National Night Out coming back to the city? It was an event that I think was really important and good for the community.
So that, I hope so, but right now we don't have plans to do it, but it's not just the police department, it's the expense for public works who brings all the tables and sets everything up and takes it down. What we have done in the last 2 or 3 years as as a consolation prize is we've tried to do a national or a city engagement day, and we've tried to create 5 or 6 different community engagement events and load them up in that day and just be out at certain like businesses, schools, or anything else that would help us really surround or do a couple neighborhood watch. But I do think there's a need for how do you get everybody in one place and do one thing. Just with the expenses and the resources and the time, we just haven't been able to do that in the last 2 years. But I think it would be, I mean, I hear what you're saying, I think it would be good. But the other side of that is we do that community engagement. We call it a community engagement day, I believe. And we get out and we do about 7 or 8 events. And so the feedback we've gotten internally from our people who do that, but also from the businesses and others, is that's been good. Our community engagement bureau right now, what we're trying to do is work on what do we do at least once a month that highlights a business, brings us in there, and trying to find those partners where we can schedule it out so people know and we can get a better engagement or they come in that day. So I don't know if that, I know that's not the answer you want to hear. I know there's a want for it.
Yeah.
I think there's a want citywide for a lot of the city events that we used to do or that we all used to participate in. I mean, you hear that over and over, but I think National Night Out is a great day for people to really touch the PD, and that's where that the Citizens Academy. I know we did an open house a couple years ago. It's just trying to find that balance between resources and opportunity to do that.
So we have time for one more question. Did I see one hand raised? Yes, Mayor, please.
Perhaps the chief could touch base on our homeless efforts and talk about the point in time count.
Thank you. Thank you for the softball. As you know, I think our last point in time count, we were at about 202, which was a significant increase from 2 years before, which I think we were in the low 150s or 160s. Some of that had to do with the riverbed cleanup and a lot of the population that was moved from there. They were in hotels at the time, was also coming out of COVID, so there was a lot of federal resources and money that kept people off of the street, kept them into hotels, or gave them resources. So was that really an accurate count to start the point in time? I would argue that last year, or the 2 years ago, where it was 202, is not what we see. We see about between 120, probably 120 is the most consistent number. Sometimes it peaks around 150, but I think that's more accurate from our people who are on the street making those contacts. There's some preliminary numbers that I can share with you from 2025. We sheltered 200 people, which is a repeat of last year. We had 200 people. The year before, I think, was 165. So the city has partnered with us, and we've ingested a civilian homeless outreach worker. And what she does is connect and get resources to individuals experiencing homelessness. And she's huge behind that effort of sheltering 200 people. Our Bike and Heart team contacted over 4,400 people last year experiencing homelessness. 600 of those people received services. And so some people don't want services, so the people who do, we have a lot of resources to give. They can be sheltered, they can receive assistance. The Hub OC is right down the street from our police department. They did a resource day about 2 months ago, and it went really well. They had mobile units for driver's license, for birth certificates, getting people back to where they can get a job or get the resources to start looking for a job. And so that's part of it. Our riverbed is an ongoing, or the Santiago Creek is an ongoing effort. We made, I want to say it's over 300 arrests just in the riverbed alone. This last year we did 46 cleanups. We continue to do things you may not see. The riverbed is a visible thing that you see, but there's the railroad tracks and other outcroppings like Taft and Maine, Taft and Batavia. We will pull 7 truckloads of this stuff out there. And we work really well with Caltrans. We work really well with Santa Ana Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, that we do these multiple resource cleanups. And I think we're making an impact. Again, I think it's not going away, but I think we do a good job of managing it. And one thing that we've had multiple resources. So we had 8 people at one point working specifically on homelessness. So that includes my team, our art team, and our civilians. Throughout the year, whether it's just staffing things, we've cut it down to 6. Right now we're at 4. And while 4 may not seem like a lot, they are busy, they love what they do, and they're passionate about addressing these issues. And I know a lot of people ask about Hart Park, they ask a lot about bus shelters and other things. And the big education piece, as you put it, is homelessness isn't a crime. We do everything we can. Not only if there is a crime, people need to be held accountable, but if it's something where we can offer resources, I think our numbers show that we're trying to help people. But people laying on the grass in a park that's open, it doesn't look good, but is it illegal? No. They're human beings. The park is open and they can lay on the grass. But we know that that's not it looks like blight or it looks like a problem, and so we send resources out to address it. But at the end of the day, if they don't have a warrant, they're not doing anything illegal, we offer them resources, and then we try to say, hey, you might want to move on, but it's not something that we can force people out. And so some of that education piece is really trying to engage our community and say, we get this isn't what you want to look at, but at the same time, we can't just pick people up and remove them and never see them again. And so it's hard. It's a hard balance. It's one of the more difficult things that our officers deal with. But I think we are making an impact, and I will tell you from talking to other chiefs, but also our other officers, when you go to other cities, we do a really good job. And it's never going to be perfect, but I think we do a really good job of addressing the issue and doing whatever we can to really make an impact on it. And we have something you can do if you own a business. We have what's called a 647E letter. It's a trespassing or lodging. This is one of our most effective tools, because when you're not there, when you're sleeping, and you have this on file, if somebody is sleeping on your business or setting up a camp, we don't need to call you. We don't need to wake you up. We can remove that person because you have given us authority under a 647E letter. So that's something that a lot of businesses are doing, really making an impact, because the individuals who don't want services, who want to continue to be homeless, then that's an accountability piece, and we're able to remove them, and we're able to really impact the businesses who've said, I don't want this individual here, and I don't know what else to do, and I think we've really taken some steps forward to make businesses feel safer when you're not there as a business owner. And so I would encourage anybody who owns a business to get that.
What's it called again?
647E letter. The California law changed, within this last year, you do have to get it notarized now, but our bike team and our heart team can set you up with that, and then they can get it on file. So when we go to your business, it'll show up, oh, they have a 647E letter on file, and then we can take care of it. It's a way to make people who don't want to follow the law uncomfortable. Maybe it gets them out of Orange, and that's really the goal: is constant engagement, offer resources, hold people accountable, and try to get them to seek elsewhere if they can't handle the rules in Orange or handle living in Orange or being part of the Orange community.
I feel like we've given everyone some homework, so you guys need to look at flock safety, the Citizens Academy, 647.
Share your voice about the
Yes.
budget.
So, lots of homework. Chief, thank you so much for your time. I know like I said, we could probably chat all day with these questions. I still have like 20 more questions I could have asked you, and so do they, I'm sure, because there's so many hands raised, but thank you so much. I have a couple quick announcements. So we have our business networking group that's going to be on February 4th. The Orange Chamber Foundation has their foundation event that is bingo on the 11th. We have a happy mob, which is really fun, networking at Urban Cafe on the 18th. Our board of directors is meeting as well, mid-month. The Duke of Orange. Who has participated in the Duke before or been to the Duke of Orange? It is so much fun. So that is going to be on the 21st. Sign-ups are still open if you'd like to be a contestant. So we'd love to have people.
That's what I need is another.
Maybe somebody in the department would love to join us for the Duke. If not, we hope to see you guys there just as guests. We have our next Eggs and Issues hopefully here on the 24th. Thank you so much, Sean, today, by the way. Thank you. We love seeing you guys, so thank you for hosting us. That's the 24th back here. And then we have our Chamber Business Alliance Multi-Chamber Mixer on the 26th. So a lot to sign up for, a lot to do. Special thanks to our members here, board of directors, our staff, our Chairman Circle sponsors, and of course, OPD. Thank you so much. Adam, thank you again for joining us today.